Welcome, everyone. Happy Friday. I know it's 12:01. I am 1 minute late, and usually I'm never late. I hate to be late. Um, but we have one of our very own in our community, that son has passed away, and she sent me a message asking me if I would go ahead and go live just to kind of keep her head occupied. So if you guys will please keep her in your prayers. If you don't pray, keep her in your thoughts. But grief is very hard. So I'm not going to say who it is. She is in chat, but if she wants to, she can. But I just don't want her to feel alone. I kind of wasn't going to go live tonight, but you know what? It happens, and we all know how grief is. So it's going to be like a thrown together live, but we're going to get through this. I hope that you guys can hear me. My last live, I had a 20-second delay where I guess I was just talking to myself. So if you guys can hear me, if you would, just say yes or just whatever, just no like bad finger symbols. Yes, okay, great. All right. So this is what I do. This is when I do the cold it's all my cases are by Project Cold Case. And they go through so many that they're just unsolved homicides. But my goal here is to get to know the person before we hear about what happened to them. Nobody wants to be remembered by their murder. It's just not how they want to be. I wouldn't. So I want you guys to get to know the person, their personality, who they were before the dramatic ending of someone taking their life. So I'll go ahead and get started. I guess I could go ahead and say hi to everybody, huh? Sorry, I'm being rude. We got Lazy. Hi, Lazy. Hi, Alex. Knowledge. Good to see you. Praise Jesus. Oh, I love that name. Doodle, yay. Yay. Barb might be in here in a bit, and then she'll come out with we. We have Lazy Bunny. Hi, Lazy Bunny. Snooker Bum. We got Water Duck. Water Duck, what are you doing up so late? Potato Casserole. Loosey Goosey. Callie Kavanaugh. Did I miss anyone? Trina, of course. And then we have Lippy Chicken. We have Officer O'Neill. Well, welcome, Officer O'Neill. No arrest in this chat, please. Everybody's going to behave, and if not, well, don't arrest them. Hi, Sonny. I hope you're doing well. Who else do we have? We have Kit Carson. That name sounds so familiar, but I think, oh, I know, because that's an author, right? Yeah. And we have Rick. Thank you for joining, Rick. Oh, hi, independent American. I'm happy to see you. Okay, guys. Oh, okay. So it's already in chat. All right, guys. So Lippy Chicken's son has passed away, and she's just kind of trying to need something to get her through the night for a little while. This will probably only be about an hour, but guys, kindness goes a long way. So if you guys will say a little prayer for Lippy Chicken, she's really going through it's hard for her, and I completely understand that, and I'm sure many of you too that have ever had loss can completely understand. But with that, I will go ahead and get started. Like I said, I just threw this together, so bear with me. I'm trying here. Okay, we're going to go ahead and start with the Veal brothers. This story is part of a collaborative project between Project Cold Case and the University of North Florida's Applied Journalism class. The Veal brothers. Can you guys actually see that, or am I just? Oh, I have it up here. Okay. Sometimes it doesn't want to show. I told you this one might be might be a train wreck, but hey, we're gonna try. And Lippy, at any point you need to say something, please feel free to in chat. Everyone, please be kind to Lippy this tonight, please. Okay, the Veal brothers, Brandon, Brian, and Bradley, all shared the same initials. The eldest is Brandon Jarrell, followed by Brian Jamal, and the youngest Bradley Justin Veal. All these testaments as to their father, Brian Jerome Veal. These were very gentle giants born into a world of sports, music, and New Orleans culture. Now, Brandon, being the oldest of the three, was the commander of his siblings, and he adored each one of them. Brian was a free spirit, fun guy who always made you happy to be around. Bradley, the youngest, was a mama's boy who adored his family and stood as an angel with close watch after their bond and his mother, Danelle's heart. Brian, Brandon, and Bradley Veal loved to crack jokes with each other and rarely spent time apart. They were three peas in a pod, said their aunt. On February 13th, 2021, Brian and O'Neill's world would forever be altered when they lost their middle son, Brian, to gunfire. Not a mile from his home, he and his brothers were walking home as a car approached and fired from the vehicle, fatally killing Brian and wounding the youngest brother, Bradley. Traumatized, seeing their brother slowly die, Brandon and Bradley watched as the police moved seemingly unconcerned. Upset by the apathetic behavior, they, they contested and were arrested on the scene. 1 week later, Saturday, February 20th, 2021, heading home from a nearby fast food restaurant, Brandon and Bradley were ambushed and shot multiple times. Bradley died at the scene, and Brandon later died at the hospital. Now, detectives obtained nearby camera footage. Sorry, guys, my got to get my chair comfy. Start over here. I apologize. Detectives obtained nearby camera footage of Brian's murder but couldn't identify any assailants due to them firing from a fleeing vehicle. Now, in Brandon and Bradley's murder, there were no witnesses or footage. Both incidents and horrible murders have been gone unsolved, and another year will go by this month. Their aunt found out about the first shooting while watching the news the day it happened. Knowing that the killers are still out there has made this family feel so uneasy and not safe. Life for their family will never be the same, says Esther, but getting justice would be the first step in the family receiving justice. Latricia, their aunt, continues to spearhead on unrelating campaigns to bring justice to the parents and the family. If you have any information on this unsolved murder of Brian, Brandon, and Bradley Veal, please call the New Orleans Police Department at 504-821-2222. What a heartbreaking story. My goodness, that's terrible. Hmm. Okay, do we have any questions in chat as we go through? Nothing? Okay. All right, then I'll just keep it moving. Yes, Lizzie, it is very, very sad. This one, I mean, and I do understand these are all very sad cases. But guys, if we don't get to know the person behind the murder, then all we remember them by is the murder. And that's just not acceptable. It's just not. Their family loved them for who they are, and they should be known for who they are, not by what happened to them. So here we have Hilton and Jeanette Turner. Very adorable couple. Now this article was put out January 15th of 2023, and this story is part of a collaborative project project between Project Cold Case and the University of North Florida's Applied Journalism class. Hilton and Jeanette Turner were known for the love they had for their community, their family, and one another. They were really helpful people, said their son Hilton Turner. If you needed something, they would actually give you their shirt off their back. That, that love was stolen from the Turner family, and their world was taken February 17th, 2021, when the couple who had been married for 55 years were found murdered in their lifelong home in Augusta, Georgia. What was a normal February day for their family became marked by tragedy. The identity of their killer is still unknown. Hilton and Jeanette both grew up and spent their lives in Augusta. Hilton enjoyed a skilled trade center spanning 42 years with an expertise in everything from HVAC and plumbing to electrical work and flooring. Jeanette spent nearly 30 years in healthcare, first as an EKG technician and then rounded out her career in echocardiology. The couple attended Lucy C. Laney High School together and got married in 1965. When my mom said my husband, everybody knew Hilton was Jeanette's husband, said the daughter with a little giggle. Hilton and Jeanette did not just love one another. They deeply cherished the family they created, including their son Hilton Jr., their daughter Belinda, a nephew whom they raised, Corey Cooper, grandchildren, great grandchildren, and other nieces and nephews. They were the first people I knew to have a king size bed. We all felt like we could all fit together on the bed and have those special movie nights together. Many of their family members inherited treasured gifts from the Turners. In 1976, Hilton gifted his son a $600 trumpet that allowed him to become a section leader in his high school band. I came into the kitchen and there was a brand new trumpet on my table. I got really good at it, said Hilton Jr. In fact, I was the trumpet section leader throughout high school. In today's current value, that trumpet would now be worth $3,000. Once Jeanette was older and could no longer decorate her home for Christmas, she gave all of her decorations to Chiquita, allowing her to establish a tradition with her daughter. The mother and daughter decorate them every year to remember Hilton and Jeanette. Each time I put them up, I think about her and Uncle Hilton. I think about us driving past their house and the music always playing. The holidays were always so touching. Everyone who knew them, whether you were a son, daughter, niece, nephew, whatever, they provided the same love to everyone under their wing, says Belinda. Their presence is still felt by the loved ones every day. Welcome, Mustang. Thank you for coming in. When a love is so powerful, it transcends past anything physical. It can often be felt forever. She taught me everything I know about being a woman, even being a mom. The way she was with us, I try to be that for my daughter, says Belinda. My parents even taught us on how to be married. Reports state there is a $5,000 reward for information leading to the arrest and conviction in this case. Anyone with information on Hilton Sr. and Jeanette's case is asked to contact the Richmond County Sheriff's Office at 706-821 1000, or you can submit a confidential crime time by completing the form on their website. Another heartbreaking one. I mean, and these are heartbreaking. Like, this isn't, and poor Lippy, I know that she wanted me to go live, and this is what I had already had loaded in here. And this is probably not the best live to cheer you up, Lippy, but at least it is something to keep you busy. A Mustang Lippy's son has passed away. So we were kind of asking everybody for prayers, and she's trying to keep her mind off things. So if you'll say a little prayer for her, I'm sure she would love it. Okay, so we'll go on to the next. And Lippy, if you want to join me at any point and you want to talk about your son, you're more than welcome to. I know it's early. I know you probably can't, but I don't want you to ever feel alone. So just know that anytime that you want to, no matter what, you're allowed. You can absolutely. Okay, so next we're gonna go ahead and go to Princella. I know I'm gonna say this wrong, guys. I don't know if that is Eps or Epes, but I'm gonna say Eps with no disrespect. I don't mean to disrespect the victim. Princella's family has been working hard to get answers in Lady Bird's 34-year-old case murder. In early July 2024, the hard work started to pay off with multiple new and important awareness campaigns. Now, Princella's case was featured on July 1st, 2024, on the podcast Detective Perspective, where former police detective Derek Levasseur discusses the facts of his case and gives a perspective on the investigation. It says listen to the episode in the podcast section in the right or wherever you listen to podcasts. I'm really not going to play their podcast. I'm not sure that I actually can without their permission. I know a lot of people say you can. I kind of don't want to take that chance. So around the same time, Atlanta Crime Stoppers announced the $10,000 reward for any tips leading to an arrest in her case. All of these new awareness culminated with the Season of Justice funded billboard located along East South 185 near exit 86 in Atlanta, Georgia, advertising this enhanced reward and bringing more awareness to Princella Ladybird Epps' unsolved murder. We asked Princella's sister, Kim Beasley, to give us an update. Given this renewed interest in her sister's case, this was her statement. We love Princella, who was affectionately called Ladybird. We want the public to know that we will never stop seeking answers for why she was taken from us or why it's taken so long for her case to be extensively investigated. This journey and path of awareness that we are on as a family in teaching us how to turn our own grief and despair over her 34-year-old unsolved murder into action and advocacy for her. We pray that she's pleased with our efforts to bring awareness to her life, death, and unsolved murder case. We will continue to advocate for her as we continue to celebrate her 22 years of life. She deserved that and so much more. It says Kim Beasley needed to take a moment take a moment when she asked how the loss of her younger sister, Princella, affected her and her family. Lady Bird was Princella's nickname growing up. Everyone knew her by that name. When Kim would ask her mother what her nickname was, Lady Bird always came up. Her mom would say she reminded me of a bird. My mother saw a bird in her nose or facial makeup and then put lady to it and she became Ladybird. Kim laughed as she remembered the origin of Ladybird. Kim spoke about the creative ways that her sister actually was and how much she loved art. I'm sorry. Princella loved journaling and creating scrapbooks. She had beautiful penmanship and loved to write. Everything that she would write in her journals, there was always a picture to go along with it. She illustrated everything. Kim could imagine her sister as a photographer or an artist one day. Princella was the second oldest of four children that were 2 years younger than her sister Kim. We looked like twins. Kim remembers dearly family vacations, whether traveling to Cincinnati, Detroit, or even Hershey Park. Princella loved roller coasters. The steeper, the better. She was the type of person to have her hands up, and she was so daring. One specific memory Kim remembers is when she got a hold of scissors and cut Princella's ponytail off. Have any of you guys did that to one of your siblings? I don't have siblings, but if I did, I'm sure I would. Oh, Lizzie says yes. Lizzie, was that today or? So Kim remembers fondly the heroism of her sister. One summer, she was preparing to go back to college with all of her belongings packed into a suitcase. That evening, someone burglarized their van and stole Kim's suitcase. Kim stated Bird reacted faster than anyone else did. It was like she was a track star, jumping over fences and chasing the burglar down, and retrieved my suitcase. Now, Bird had a fear of the dark, but in a pinch, she was the person you wanted to go to. She had the ability to react quickly in emergencies. In July 1990, Epps was found deceased in her Atlanta apartment, shot by an unknown intruder. Authorities had no suspects, and eventually her case ran cold, leaving her family heartbroken and just in limbo. The world just got a little darker, and I don't know how to process the world without her. Her death was a tragedy, Kim says. Tears in her eyes 32 years after death. Here is someone so full of love and life, and at 22, her life was taken. It was tragic. The family has always been a cohesive unit that's allowed the family to lift each other up over the past decades. For Kim, coming together as a family for justice has been healing. It's been a struggle not having answers, but Beasley said she was still going to keep fighting. She's a daughter, a sister, an auntie, and that she was more loved than anyone could imagine. My belief is that everything that happens will eventually come to light, she says, and it has fueled me throughout all of these years. Now, anyone with information about the murder of Princella Epps is asked to call Crime Stoppers at 1-404-577-TIPS. Callers can remain anonymous and may be eligible for a reward. So, like I said, it is another sad one. I do want to show you, if I can get this to load real quick. I would like to show you guys her billboard that they had actually put up. Hopefully, this will load. Okay, I think it's actually going to load. All right, there it is. And this is the billboard. I can't really make it bigger because it's in this mode, but this is the 10,000. She has a $10,000 reward, guys. So if you have any information, please do the right thing. I mean, seriously, this family is grieved enough. All right, so next we're gonna. Well, I guess I could check chat, but being so rude here. How we doing in chat? Everybody good? Oh, you guys are so quiet. It's probably because it's midnight. I always do these late ones. Lippy, are you doing okay? I'll kind of wait on her for just a minute and make sure she's okay. Okay. Yes. All right. You're okay. Well, like I said, if you need us, or if you need to get up here, if you need me to end the live, you just let me know, Lippy, and I'll do it. All right, guys. So head on over here. Like I said, this is Linda Patricia Austin Tran. Linda Tran was an inquisitive and independent young woman. When she was only 17 years old, she headed to Seattle ready to conquer the world. She was only gone for a couple of years before the love of her family was enough to bring her back home. When Tran was growing up, she was starstruck with Jordan from New Kids on the Block and liked to play bingo. Tran, Loana, and Hannah would have slumber parties and pick berries during the summer. Tran enjoyed roller skating and her sister or riding around 38th Street with her cousin. It was a tough period for the family. They were very saddened during that time when she was gone, and her sister Luana said that Tran leaving her senior year of high school. During her 2 years away, Linda became a mother. She gave birth to a beautiful baby girl named Patricia. The depth of a mother's love has no end, and Linda decided it was time to reach out to her parents to come back home. Her return reunited family that had been close. Her parents were excited to become grandparents and doted on Patricia. Patricia loved spending time with them. She would go straight to her grandparents after school, spending hours with them. She was excited to share her day with them. She loved art and would often draw things to give them as gifts. Now, Linda would do anything and everything for her younger siblings. She was the eldest girl, and she was very serious about her role in the family. I don't know if you can hear my grandson in the background. If you can, I'm sorry. We had another snow day, so he's still wound up. As coming back home, Tran lived with her parents before settling into a place of her own. When Patricia was 8 years old, Linda gave birth to a baby boy named Austin. Patricia loved her role as big sister and was the best big sister anyone could ask for. Then tragedy struck. On December 18th, 1998, just 6 months after settling into her new home, Tran, who was now 7 months pregnant, was murdered. Oh, that's horrible. Linda was at her parents' house cooking dinner for her dad when she received a call stating someone had Christmas presents for her children. When she arrived back at her home, witnesses say they saw her arguing with a thin, dark male. Christmas presents were just thrown all on the front lawn as the male chased Linda into the house. A few minutes later, the male appeared at the front door, armed with a baseball bat. He took no pity on the innocent children, ordering them into the house and beating them to death as Linda's body laid inches from the front door. Guys, trigger warning. This is serious, but it has to be known. We can't let these people just be known for what happened. We have to get to know the victim. Witnesses later saw the male running out the back door to a vehicle parked down the street, but no one has come forward to identify them. Now, minutes later, Tran's house exploded into flames. Tran was a very private person and a very good mother. Now, her family says she provided for her children and her family very well. Detectives and Tran's family believe she knew the suspect, and they held hope that more information would come to light about this crime. I haven't given up hope. My husband and I have submitted some documents to obtain more records. We suspect it was someone she knew and maybe had a dating relationship with, Hannah says. Now, Linda was very family oriented. Even though she had her own family, she felt it was important to take care of her parents. Linda wanted to keep the Asian tradition alive, even though she was in the USA. If you have any information about the unsolved murders of Linda, Patricia, or Austin, and unborn Joshua Tran, please call Tacoma Pierce County Crime Stoppers at 253-591-5959. All callers will remain anonymous and may receive up to $1,000 for information leading to the arrest and charges filed for the person in this case. Yes, that's heartbreaking. I mean, they've went so long. It's terrible. And if I've missed anyone in chat, I apologize. I think I've gotten everyone. If I haven't and I've missed you, please put something in chat to grab my attention. It's kind of hard to keep track of chat and like three different tabs open, but I'm trying. Okay. Okay, so we have Erica Cook. And hopefully that showed. I think I have a little bit of a lag, guys. I do apologize. As little Erica Cook moved through the house as a toddler, no one heard a thing. She entered stealth mode and seemed to appear out of thin air without sound. You wouldn't hear her. You would not hear a footstep. You couldn't see her. Stephanie Hollis, Erica's cousin, said with a chuckle, You would turn this way, and there she was. You would turn that way, she's there. Those precious moments and fond memories changed forever after some 30 years later in 2014. That's when Erica was killed, and her house was set on fire. Her body was found in her home in Simpsonville area of Texas. She had suffered blunt impact to her head and stab wounds to the back of her neck. Her death was ruled a homicide and remains unsolved. Erica was only 32 years old when she died. Although she was taken from her family too soon, she left them with everlasting memories, including with little Erica would pop out of nowhere and scare the living daylights out of her family. Oh, she seemed like such a joker. You would be sitting somewhere in the house, and the next thing you know, bam, scream. Scared everyone in the house. Eventually, Stephanie and her grandmother had to get Erica a kitten collar with bells on it of how quiet she was. Her grandmother would often say, "This girl is going to give me a heart attack." Oh, I love that they have precious memories. I do. So, for everyone's sake and sanity, they made sure Erica wore the little bell so she could be a little louder when running throughout the house, and Grandma couldn't have a heart attack. Erica grew up in Gilmer, Texas, and was raised mostly by her mother. Her father died when Erica was very little. Growing up, Erica was cheerful, but she was also very straightforward. Ever since she was young, she was very blunt and direct. If you asked her a question, she would give you a direct answer, whether it was good or bad. She also loved to draw and was very creative. Now, Stephanie says that Erica's drawings were always so interesting and that her favorite and most memorable drawing was of a unicorn. The interesting part about the image was that Erica colored the horn of the unicorn, but nothing else. She left everything else blank. Oh, that's so cute. Erica grew up to be tall and skinny. Most of the time, she pulled her hair back in a ponytail, and sometimes she would swoop her bangs. She also had freckles and glasses. Although she didn't wear a lot of makeup, she always wore some fruity perfume or scent. As Erica got older, her creative outlet turned into makeup instead of drawing. Erica loved to buy makeup, although she didn't wear much of it. She spent a lot of money on it and to try to, and then afterwards would just wipe it off. Stephanie likes to think with the recent explosion of TikTok and YouTube, Erica would have done makeup tutorials and showed others how to have creative talents. Now, despite Stephanie being 10 years older than her cousin, the two of them would often spend time together at their grandmother's house. Erica didn't consider Stephanie to be a cousin. She considered her more of a sister. She told Stephanie that she was more the big best friend's sister. When Erica gave birth to her son, she knew that she wasn't ready to be a mom. Stephanie stepped up to be his caretaker. Erica would help out when she could, but she knew that her son would be better off with Stephanie. She knew Stephanie was already an experienced mom and raising a daughter of her own. Stephanie officially adopted him in 2020. Stephanie described him as being just like his mother. He looks just like her, walks like his mom, and talks like his mom. Even when he was very young, Erica always called her son Mini Me. He had those little quiet footsteps Erica once had. Stephanie says that sometimes she'll be sitting on the couch and he goes out the front door without a peep. Later, he'll come back in and Stephanie will be shocked that he even left. On Sunday, February 9th, 2014, Erica was at the home she shared with her boyfriend. Stephanie says Erica was packing up and getting ready to move out of that house. That night, deputies from the Upshur County Sheriff's Office got a call about a house fire in Gilmer, Texas. Now, police discovered Erica's body in the house with injuries to her head, bruises to her brain, and stab wounds to her ear and her spinal cord. Trigger warning, guys. The next day, an autopsy revealed that she was murdered and that the house fire was not an accident. Police questioned Erica's boyfriend multiple times. However, there were no evidence to determine that he was even at the house at the time of the fire or the murder. Investigators never made an arrest. Erica's son was only 7 years old when she was killed. It was so hard for him to understand the gravity of her death because, in his eyes, Erica was his aunt. At that point in his life, he didn't even know Erica was his biological mother. Due to his age and how long he had been with Stephanie, he always believed that Stephanie was his birth mother. It wasn't until the start of his freshman year in high school that Stephanie finally told him that he was adopted and his birth mother was Erica. Since Erica's death, things have been so hard for Stephanie and other family members. Now a young man, Erica's now a young man, Erica's son, is a constant reminder of Stephanie. He reminds her of all the happy and good memories of his mom. He's still her, mini me. So it's difficult for Stephanie to look at him and not think about Erica. Erica's family remembers her as someone who loved hard, worked hard, and wanted to be loved so deeply. She would put others before herself and often trusted others even if they had hurt her before. I think some of us are all guilty of that. Most of all, Erica's family knows that she's watching over them and is loving them with all of their heart. If anyone has any information regarding this case, please contact the Upshur County Sheriff's Office at 903-843 to remain anonymous and possibly be eligible for a reward. Call Crime Stoppers at 1-800-396-3391. And over to the side of this article, I want to read the newspaper clipping that come out of what had happened that night. Oh, there we go. The sheriff's office probing homicide. The Upshur County Sheriff's Office is investigating a homicide that officials say Friday occurred nearly 2 weeks ago in Simpsonville area. Lieutenant Matt Alford said, Upshur County Sheriff's Office received a call about a week ago about a residential structure fire on Woodchuck Road, the northwestern part of the county. Several volunteer fire departments also responded to that fire. As they were battling flames, they discovered the body of a black woman, later identified as Erica Cook, in the yard. Cook's body was sent to the Forensic Medical of Texas in Tyler for an autopsy. The autopsy ruled the 32-year-old woman's death as a homicide. Alfred said he would not disclose the manner of death. No arrests have been made in this case, and Alfred said it remains under investigation. He declined to say whether the sheriff's office has any suspects at that time. Wow, so they just kind of threw that right out there, didn't they? They did. And to this day, it's still unsolved. And stuff like this just really makes you think, like, how? I mean, I'm sure they did the best they could. I'm sure they did, but still, wow. Goodness. Okay, and we'll go ahead and move on. Is everyone doing okay in chat? Looks like you guys are. You guys are just like not even chatting at all. Unless I have a lag. If I have a lag, please tell me. I do have it on subscribers mode because I knew I wouldn't have a mod in here tonight. And we don't need trolls when this is about victims. Okay. So let's see. We'll go over to thank you, Mustang. Okay, so we have I think I kind of went backwards here. I did. I apologize, guys. We all know I'm asked backwards though, right? Okay, so this is Norman. Norman Turner. Ashley McElroy didn't get to meet her paternal grandfather as she was 6 years old, but says that he filled a gap not filled by the rest of her family. Although Norman Turner and his family struggled with some complicated family dynamics, he never let that affect the way that he treated his granddaughter. The family had attempted to navigate the fractured relationships for years, that is, until Ashley was born. Now, Ashley was the spitting image of her grandfather. The family would say the complexities of the past were soon forgotten. Healing began and relationships mended. And the rest is history. Ashley remembers her grandfather as a warm man who always put family first. Despite the complicated family politics and the distance between them, Norman called Ashley nightly to check on her schoolwork, make sure she was behaving, and that she was doing okay. The two haven't talked in over 2 decades. On November 15, 1999, a murder cut his life short. The case has never been solved. One of Ashley's fondest memories of her grandfather was that she took all the grandchildren and Crystal for dinner. After filling up the restaurant, Norman took the grandkids to his garage where he worked on race cars in his spare time. It may sound like a regular day, but it remains in Ashley's memory. He made it all about us, she said. Ashley described the grandfather as always fun, loving, and caring. A Mustang. Yeah, I can't help it. It just happens for me. I guess I was born that way. Now, he did inspire Ashley to pursue a career in the Navy. The birth of their first child changed her plans. Still, she remained inspired and chose a public service career in law enforcement as a police officer. Norman was extremely sharp, the way a Navy SEAL is expected to be. Ashley and other grandkids made a game of trying to sneak up on him, but he was always unshakable. Now, Norman spent many evenings at the world famous Bull Tavern in Jacksonville, Florida. He would stay until closing to make sure bartenders were able to get to their cars safely. On that fateful November night, he was doing just that, watching guard, when Norman noticed his truck lights blinking and went to check him out. An argument ensued. Soon after, Norman was shot in the back of the head by an unknown suspect from an unknown distance. He was 61 years old. Ashley recalls getting a phone call in the middle of the night and speeding to the hospital with her family. The hospital told them that Norman was brain dead and a family member made the decision to take him off of life support. Ashley said her grandfather took 45 painful minutes to pass. The bartender and the bar owner has been outside with Norm was outside with Norman when he was shot, but they don't recall much. The only description they gave the police was that they were two black men, two tall black men. Hmm. Hmm. To this day, no one has been charged with the murder of Norman Turner. Norman's death left the family in disarray. Ashley recalls it causing a rift between some relatives. Amidst already tense relationships, it also left a mark on their adolescent life. I think I was really too young to understand, she said. Ashley was 15 years old at the time, and then she started beginning drinking, partying just to escape. She struggled with alcoholism until the age of 25. Turner himself was a baffled alcoholic dependency. Now, Ashley recalls him always holding either a beer or a Pepsi in his hand. She said she hadn't noticed the excess as a child and that it never affected how he treated his family. I think he drank to forget, Ashley said, alluding to possible trauma experience in the Navy. But through the good and the bad, Norman always remained an attentive family man. She said memories of her grandfather inspired her to get sober. I know he wouldn't want that for me or my kids, she says. If you have any information on the unsolved murder of Norman Turner, you're asked to call the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office cold case at 904-630-2172. Oh my goodness, that is terrible. Okay. Oh, look at his smile. He looks like such a happy guy. And this is why I do this. I want us to look at the faces. I want us to get to know the person before we hear about what happened to them. Because I don't know about you, but I just don't want to ever be remembered by the bad part of me. I would want to be known for who I am. And that's kind of what gave me the idea to do this. So this is Herbert Seymour Jr. Now Herbert Seymour Jr. was in love. He and Kristen had only been dating for about 6 months, and the marriage was becoming a reoccurring discussion topic. Herbert was confident in his love. He quickly professed his love on their very first date, drawing a cute snowman on a napkin with "I love you" on their first date. Oh, you're welcome. I don't know what you're thanking me for, Mustang, but you're welcome. The two Los Angeles natives started discussing flying to Las Vegas to get married. The plane tickets were never purchased. Herbert and Kristen never married. On February 9th, 2011, the night they planned to book their trip, Herbert was shot and killed on the street just outside their home. Herbert was a lifelong Angelio, growing up in the area, spending most of his time in California. When he was young, Herbert quickly found a passion for football. Despite his mom's initial hesitations, Herbert played football throughout his high school career. He spent 1 year playing in Mississippi before moving back to Los Angeles and playing 3 years at George Washington High School. He was always on a good team, too, his mom says. I went to Washington, too, and the team was lousy until he went there. Maybe I'm a little biased, but they then were in the playoffs. After finishing high school, Herbert attended Northrop Rice Advanced Institution of Technology to study aviation engineering. He was a strong student in grade and continued study hard and make good grades throughout college. Herbert welcomed his first child, a baby girl named Christian, while in college. About 5 years later, his son Herbert Seymour III was born. Herbert loved to coach Christian's youth teams. She was often the only girl on the team. Christian once played a key role in leading the team to victory, as her father couldn't be prouder. He quickly ran up to her as they celebrated with the rest of them. Herbert was incredibly proud to pass his name down to his son. The three Herbert Seymours, father, son, and grandson, would often spend time walking around the local park. Well, on the fateful February night, Herbert was spending time with his family outside playing tag. They were all running around throughout the house, enjoying their game so much that Herbert Sr. fussed at him. The game quickly wound down as Cynthia, Herbert's mom, went to bed with plans to get up the next morning. His sister Shantae lay down to watch TV. Herbert put some fries in the toaster oven before heading to the liquor store down the block, the very same store in which Herbert worked his very first job. Now, Shantae would normally accompany her brother on such trips, but the two siblings were so close, if you seen him, you would see her. I used to call him my little big brother because I learned so much from him, even though I was the oldest. Shantae did not go to the store with her brother that night. She said she felt something telling her to just stay put for the night. Not long after, Herbert walked out that door, the family heard gunshots. When Shantae told her father that Herbert was not back yet, Herbert Sr. immediately ran outside. That's when he spotted his son lying in the street. They could see his body from his own front porch. Kristen, Herbert's fiance, was spending the night at her sister's house. The two had been talking over the phone and texting all day. The upcoming wedding plans made for such an exciting topic for both of them. She wasn't prepared for the phone call with Shantae with the news. Oh my goodness, that's so sad. Kristen's last text message to Herbert was a long one. She detailed how much she loved him and how happy she was they had found each other. She still finds comfort in knowing that one of the last things Herbert likely saw was her message, and that probably that was the last message in those moments, that he knew how much he was loved. Herbert's family had lived in that neighborhood for decades, but after tragedy struck at that doorstep, they all packed up and left. The pain of remaining there would have just been too much. Herbert's kindness and goofiness made him loved among the people that knew him. He used to hug every woman and shake every man's hand every morning at the Best Buy where he worked. Cynthia attributes over half of her Facebook friends to people she met through her son. Now, Herbert worked at two different Best Buy locations. Nearly all of their employees took time off, calling in employees from other stores to cover their shifts so they could attend Herbert's funeral. The funeral service was so packed, hardly anyone could sit down. All standing room was left, and even then, it was so packed in there. To this day, there's a photo of Herbert in a Best Buy break room in Los Angeles, as well as Herb stickers on the Best Buy work trucks in Culver City. Cynthia sought therapy after that night and still sees a therapist. Her husband, Herbert Sr., refused to go. I think it ate away at him, Cynthia said. I still believe it's eating him up. Herbert Sr. died from lung cancer in 2019. Cynthia attributes his declining death as part of the pain he's holding on to. Herbert's family looks back on their memories of him, laughter and love. They all beam with pride whenever they speak of him. Herbert Seymour Jr. was a son a mother could be proud of, a brother, a sibling that you could depend on, a father who cared deeply about his children. If you have any information on the unsolved murder of Herbert, please contact the Los Angeles Police Department at 877 ASK LAPD. And it's the ones like that that just are so heartbreaking. I mean, every life matters, but when you hear someone like playing in the yard with kids, it hits a little different. It just does. I guess it shouldn't, but in all actuality, it really just does. So next we have Kevin Saunders. Oh, look at him. He is a doll. Kevin was just always so happy. That's how Rosa Reniso remembers her son. He could always make anyone laugh. Kevin Anthony Sanders was murdered on November 22nd, 2010. He was only 15 years old. But Kevin was a happy kid. He was full of joy at that age, and he grew more with joy as he got older. As the older brother, he was naturally protective of his younger sister. Now, Rosa still remembers watching Kevin playing on the floor with his toy cars and puzzles. It's one of her fondest memories. And he also loved Superman. And then he would take the time to watch Blue's Clues as a child. Kevin played many sports growing up, including baseball, football, and basketball. He fell in love with basketball, though. He had a talent. All who watched him play would also agree. I remember one time a gentleman came up to me and told me Kevin was going to go be the next Michael Jordan, Rosa said. That was quite the compliment, even though she had chuckled. Kevin wanted to use his athletic abilities to help his mother out. A single mother of two living in a suburb of Chicago, he would always tell me, "One day I'm going to buy you a house, Mom. I'm going to take care of you," Rosa recalled. Kevin and his sister Taylor had a wonderful sibling relationship. Rosa still gets a kick out of thinking about how they played together. Kevin would often tease his sister, throwing her dolls and throwing them right out the third story window of their apartment. Rose's parents helped raise Kevin and Taylor. During this time, Kevin, the first grandchild, the family, sorry, Kevin, the first grandchild in the family, grew very close to his grandfather. They shared a very strong bond. The two of them were very close. They always went and got breakfast together every day. Now, due to high rent at their previous apartments, Rose and her two children had to move their parents. If it was there a year and a half later on a rainy Monday that Rosa received the worst news imaginable. Rosa was at work when she received a call from Taylor, who was 8 at the time. She informed her mother that a number of ambulances, fire trucks, and police cars were outside of their home. From there, Rosa attempted to call and text Kevin. He never responded. As she arrived at the house, Rosa was greeted by detectives. They informed her that her 15-year-old son had been shot and murdered in the alleyway just feet from their home. A security camera nearby captured a red van driving away from the area the crime occurred. But according to a 2011 article on the incident, the license plate wasn't visible. The loss of her brother was traumatizing to young Taylor. She couldn't just let her mother leave the house without her anymore. She just couldn't do it. When Rosa broke the news about Kevin to her father, she had to be mindful and careful in how she did so. She worried that the shocking news would cause him to suffer a heart attack or some other medical emergency. That was tough, she recalled. He still talks about Kevin from time to time, but he can't do so without crying. Almost 10 years later, Kevin's murder is still yet to be solved. Reports from the time of the murder mention the possibility of gang relations. Kevin was also reportedly involved in the Juvenile Improvement Program, a program aimed at assisting troubled teens. He was reportedly dismissed from the program just days before the murder. Now, guys, I know that sounds really bad, but please don't judge him for that. It seems as if, it's a rough neighborhood. He gets in there and he finished this program. So before anyone says anything about him, you have to understand, for him to be that young and to finish that program, it still took everything he had. I'm sure of it. There were 435 murders in Cook County, Illinois that year. According to the Chicago Tribune, one happened to be a young man who brought laughter and positivity to everyone around him, especially to his family. Rosa created a Facebook page where she shares memories of her son. I think of him and miss him every day, but it's especially hard around the holidays. These days are just extra tough. If you have any information on this unsolved murder of Kevin Saunders, please call the police department at 708-652-2130. And in all honesty, in Chicago, it doesn't mean that he had any part of anything. That could have been just mistaken identity. Chicago is pretty rough. I mean, he's so young. Either way, I mean, a life is gone, and it's so sad to think that this is still a cold case. It is. It's just heartbreaking. Okay, next we have Kristen Sandberg. Get her stuff. Okay. If you would have met her, you would have loved her. Terry Gaines said her sister Kristen was murdered on October 3rd, 1997, and her body was found in a field. And I'm going to say this wrong. Apopoca, Florida. I hope I said that right, but I probably said that wrong. Well, it was determined that her cause of death was from stab wounds. The question of who murdered her still remains unsolved. Kristen was the youngest of 5 children. Gain, her eldest sister, and Julie Sandberg, her second eldest sister, said that they knew that she was the baby of the family and special from a very young age. She was one of those kids that just got bored really easily in school. We believe she was one of the gifted students. Larry Sandberg, Kristen's father, was in the Navy, so the family moved around a lot. Hawaii was Kristen's favorite of all time places, but the family now lives in Orlando, Florida, where Kristen went missing from. When they lived in California, Elsie remembers Kristen to have been the classroom helper. She ended up teaching all of the kids how to use the computers at school. The family said that Kristen was so creative, writing poetry, teaching herself how to play the piano, and eventually playing the flute in high school. Her sisters remembered that the youngest sibling was someone who would do anything for others. When Kristen reached adolescence, they said she was dedicated to trying to give to the less fortunate. Now, she would steal from all of us to give to the poor, she says as she giggles. The only problem was that she didn't ask. That is so cute. In high school, the family says Kristen took a wrong wrong turn and ended up hanging out with the wrong crowd. She got into drugs and alcohol and eventually dropped out of school, but her family was determined to help her down the right path and helped her get her GED. The family also tried to help her out, talking to the doctors to get her tested for a chemical imbalance. The results that came back were surprising. They came back and told my parents she wasn't one of the problems, but rather they were, Gaines said. That was Kristen. She really was really good at manipulating people, with a giggle. Even with her turns down the wrong path, the family said she always would keep them a priority. Jolie remembers that when she was in her 30s, she ended up moving back home to live with her parents and Kristen after a breakup. Now, she and Kristen shared the same room. We shared a daybed, and we would just lay there and read Ellen DeGeneres books together. Julie said that the main thing she remembered about her sisters that she shared a lot of the same personality traits, and they are still very similar, regardless of the 11-year age gap between them. Gain also had a son, Sean, who was born when Kristen was 12 years old. Elsie and Larry watched the grandson a lot, and Gain said that Kristen and Sean grew close, having somewhat of a brother sister relationship. Now, I ended up splitting from my husband when Sean was young, so it was just me and him most of the time. Anytime we did something, though, we made sure Sean was the last person in the family to see Kristen alive after she surprised him at school on his birthday to give him money. Her mother was the last one to talk to her on the phone, and no matter what she did, she always kept in touch. The fact that the Sandbergs hadn't heard from Kristen in a few days was too strange. But once it started to turn into weeks and months, the family filed a missing persons report. Now, she says that it really started to worry her when Kristen started missing big family events, like their father undergoing multiple surgeries. Then they knew. At the time Kristen went missing, the police station in Florida, about 20 miles from Orlando, was dealing with a case of a body found in an empty lot. The station posted a sketch of what they believed the person looked like in Orlando, and when Gaines saw it, she said that even though the sketch did not match her sister, she had a gut feeling it actually was. The station told her she was wrong and swore the woman was Hispanic and 5'6", which Gaines said her sister was 5'2" at most. Everything fit the bill except the description, said Gaines. The family sent in dental records in 1998 and waited 8 years until the station finally got around to comparing those records. Can you believe that? 8 years. To wait 8 years for results would just be devastating. That'd be enough to just drive you crazy. Oh my goodness. No. I couldn't imagine waiting 8 years for results. That's horrible. God. The case has since been left cold. Oh, hang on. The news came in 2006 that the sister said the news hit everyone hard. They say that they have multiple theories of who could have murdered their sister. Gaines said one of the people they suspected was questioned via a phone interview by the police station and never brought in for questioning, and the other serving time for other murders he committed, but still was never questioned about Kristen. The case has soon been left cold with no detective working at all on this case. The family said they were last told that the case got moved to Orlando Police Station because Kristen was reported missing in Orlando. When Kristen was alive, she met three of her nephews and one of her nieces. Since her passing, the family has expanded to eventually what would be Kristen's great nieces and great nephews. The sisters said that all of the children ask about their late aunt. Now, the Sandbergs continue to ensure that Kristen's memory still lives on. Project Cold Case reached out to law enforcement for a statement, and they will update the story as soon as anything comes in. But as of right now, there's no response. If you have any information on the unsolved murder of Christine Sandberg, please call I'm going to say that wrong again, Appopoca Police Department at 407-703-1771. Oh my goodness. Could you imagine waiting 8 years to see if they could identify? Ugh, no way. That's devastating. All right, guys, I have one more, and then I'll let you guys go. Usually I'm done by now, but I hope that Lippy is still okay. Lippy, you're doing okay? I hope she is. Okay, good, good, Lippy. I worry. Sorry, I'm a warrior. Okay, so this is William Bill Smith. Birthdays are typically a special celebration, but some are more difficult than others. When Christopher Beaumont turned 37, he couldn't help but think of his father, Bill. William Bill Smith was 37 when his life was taken. Bill Smith was born on March 27th, 1958 in New Jersey, or 58 in New Jersey, and raised near the Island Amusement Park in Mount Arlington as a kid. And he enjoyed fishing, hunting, playing baseball, and spending time with his family with his two siblings. He liked to listen to music, he liked to go to the movies, but he really especially enjoyed the 1968 hit Bullet featuring Steve McQueen. For 13 weeks straight, he went to see that movie every weekend, Art recalled as his younger brother. Bill had a knack for drawing and creating things, a skill he used as a sign designer later in his life. He was very artistic. Shauna Hodge said of her father, I still ride by his signs and I see them. Now, he met Nancy Beaumont in June of 1981, and they were married 6 months later. Bill accepted Christopher, who was 6 months old at the time, with open arms and immediately found his groove of fatherhood. The couple had their daughter Shauna 2 years later. Bill loved being a dad and spending time with his kids. He was my best friend, Shauna said. We did everything together. Now, Bill was known to be a jokester. He loved to laugh and he loved to make others laugh. He was the funniest person she'd ever met. Then the humor was gone. Bill Smith was found severely beaten in the parking lot of American Legion at Riviera Beach, Florida, on April 13th, 1995. At least two men were seen hitting Smith with a baseball bat. They were spotted fleeing in a dark colored pickup truck with a white stripe along the side. Bill was rushed to St. Mary's Medical Center that night. He would succumb to his injuries on May 6th after spending 23 days in a coma. The original detective on the case, Pat Gallahan, told the Palm Beach Post following Bill's passing that no one is saying anything and there isn't a lot of traffic in that area. The parking lot lighting is poor, making this case difficult to solve. Oh, my goodness. Shortly after the father's passing, Christopher enrolled in the Police Explorer program at the Stewart Police Department. He is currently a lieutenant in the Indian River Shores Public Safety Department. I think this was my driving factor for wanting to get into law enforcement, Christopher said. Now, Kathy and Nancy were proactive from the get go. They went around Riviera Beach asking everyone questions, anyone they come across. Bill was known to suffer from addiction issues. Now, they don't know if that had any play in this, but they also know that it's possible. The family fears this case wasn't given enough attention that it deserved for that reason, because he did struggle with addiction issues. We used to go around and hang up reward posters. We would hang up missing persons flyers. We do all kinds of things just to see if we could get any kind of row out of anyone, even though we knew that he had been found. Nothing. All the flyers would disappear. After all this time, the Smith family still doesn't have the answers they desperately seek. I don't have closure, Shauna said. Bill's death still weighs heavy on everyone's mind. He was everywhere. He was everywhere the kids possibly could need him. He would be there every day at every kid's graduation, wedding. He'll never get to meet his 4 grandchildren. It still hurts, Nancy says. It hurts so deeply, and it forever will. Anyone with information about this case, the identity or location of the suspects, is asked to contact the Riviera Beach Police Department at 561-845-4123. All right, guys, I guess I will go ahead and let you guys go for the night. Lippy, if you need to talk, you know my number. You can get a hold of me on Facebook, or if you need me to go live and I'll try to find something else, I can do that too, honey. But just let me know, okay? Because I know the feeling. Grief, it's hard. I know. And like I said, well, we're all here for you. Don't ever feel alone. I know it kind of feels alone because we're just in a chat, but I mean, at the end of the day, this community is pretty good at helping one another out. So with that, guys, I hope you guys have a wonderful night. Lippy, I expect to at least get a message from you just so I can rest on you're okay. And guys, be kind to one another. I know as we go through all of these homicides unsolved, just remember that could be you, that could be me, that could be our children, our parents. You just never know. And with that, I just hope that you all are blessed. And I don't know. I'm kind of speechless. I feel so bad for Lippy. But guys, have a wonderful night and God bless. Until next time. Bye bye.
In a world that turns too fast. Some are lost, left in the past, but we won't let silence win. We'll speak their names again. Voices rising through the dark. Every story leaves a mark. We are the ones who won't forget. The fight for truth is not done yet. We shine the light, we raise the call. For the missing, the broken, we stand tall. For justice, for healing, for every